Emma Forever from Bits and Bytes here, bringing you a review of Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 is an action role-playing game for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC platforms. In Dark Souls 2, you take control of a player-created character and fight, then die your way through, after dying, the world of Drangleic. But not before you die. Did I mention you will die? Nothing is explained to you, no directions are given, and the only clues that you have to lead you are vaguely delivered by some old crone, and later some various non-playable characters or NPCs. So character creation is really neat because it's tied right into the story. As the old crone, you speak with her in the beginning of the game, and she asks you to remember your name by thinking deep into the past. Then you are shown a human effigy, and you're asked who it's supposed to be. And yes, it's supposed to be you. And this is all tied into giving your character a name, of course, and then, as is typical of RPGs, you select their class, like a warrior or a knight, etc., and then you're also given a gift, which might be a useful item, or maybe not. You also select, of course, the gender, the build of your character, i.e., a muscular character, a skinny character, or, a larger character. And it's just a really neat way to create your character because it's tied into the story of Dark Souls 2. So, for there being such an obscure story told outright, the writers and designers did a fantastic job, in my opinion, of weaving together the canon of the Dark Souls universe and the reality of the player experiencing the game. You were told right from the beginning that time after time, like a moth to a flame, you will go to this place, your wings will be burned, and you will come back because it is your fate. That's pretty heavy, considering you will make progress through the game, often only after failing again and again and again, but you will keep coming back. The crux of it all is that you must seek the king, defeating large enemies to require more souls, thereby becoming more powerful, and you're doing all of this in an attempt to end the curse on you and the people of the land of Drangleic. Everyone is slowly hollowing or becoming soulless like a zombie and losing their memories, including you, because of this curse. In a nutshell, Dark Souls 2 is a zombie game, but it does the zombie genre better than the zombie genre does itself. Alright, so let's talk about souls. Souls are the currency of this game, and they are used for everything from purchasing, repairing, and reinforcing items and equipment to increasing your base stats. When you die, you start from the last save point you encountered, which are bonfires in the game, and you leave all of the souls you have accumulated behind. Your pool of health also decreases every single time you die to no less than 75% of your maximum health. And another thing, your humanity is also lost, which is an effect of hollowing. If you don't retrieve your souls and you die again, they are gone for good. And believe me, you will lose your souls, and lots of them, again and again and again. So, who will like this game? Well, let me start by prefacing it this way. This game is not for those who have very little patience and time to commit to a game. That's basically it. While this game is definitely targeted towards the more hardcore gamers who are experienced with playing games that require a high level of skill, anybody can learn how to play Dark Souls 2. This was my first experience with the Souls franchise. Now, that being said, if you're not a fan of figuring it all out by yourself and you don't have access to the internet, why are you watching this video, first of all? And second of all, this is definitely not the game for you. Playing the console version of this game with either an Xbox Live Gold or PlayStation Plus membership, while not a must, really elevates the cruel Dark Souls experience to a much friendlier one. This game really is built to be a shared experience. Whether summoning players from other realms to help you with a tough boss fight, discussing it with friends via text, email, blog, or community forum, or just simply browsing the web for tips and tricks other people have shared in videos or on wiki pages, having a buddy who is playing along with you is a real treat. For example, I had no idea that you had to have your humanity fully intact in order to see summoning signs, which enables you to summon players into your game to help you with a tough boss fight or to help get you through a tough area. So at the time, I was streaming on Twitch TV, and a viewer hopped into the chat to explain how that whole game mechanic worked, and then they offered to drop a summoning sign where I needed help. The feeling of camaraderie was palpable, and it was definitely an experience that I will never forget. So again, part of what is so enjoyable about experiencing this game is the feeling that you are a member of an exclusive club. The internet is filled with memes, in-jokes and gags, fan-created videos, and the like that pay tribute to the insane experience that is shared amongst its members. So that brings me to some of the elements that actually are not so cool about Dark Souls 2. What is interesting about this game, unfortunately, runs the risk of also being its downfall. Jumping in and playing Dark Souls 2 is akin to moving to Japan with only the clothes on your back, not knowing the language or anything about the culture, and being expected to survive without first losing your mind or winding up on the tracks of an oncoming bullet train. Good luck, sucker. This is a game where tribal knowledge is worth more than any in-game item you will find. And if you don't have access to the internet or you have no experience with this franchise, you are going to want to buy drywall in bulk because, believe me, you are going to be turning into the Hulk a lot. Mastering the controls and getting down the timing of combat is something that I believe a lot of Western gamers who haven't experienced a Souls game will find frustrating. I found that targeting and locking onto enemies was frustrating occasionally for me, which could actually have also been due to the fact that my controller was starting to go out. But again, it's still just one of those challenging aspects of Dark Souls. And I also cannot tell you how many human effigies I ended up wasting by accidentally using the button that uses items that are set to that specific slot while I was figuring out the controls. So if you've ever played a Monster Hunter game, this won't be too far out of your realm of experience, because there are a lot of similarities between the combat mechanics with the timing and, so on and so forth. So if you lack a sense of rhythm and timing, too bad, so sad. Dark Souls 2 is not going to hold your hand. Something that I found a little bit challenging was learning how to read and understand character stats and individual equipment stats. It was actually incredibly time-consuming, honestly. I believe that having a background in tabletop RPGs like Dungeons & Dragons will benefit you in this area. In some ways, I guess all the Minotaur feels like stereotypical Japanese game design, complex, confusing, and convoluted, but it's also part of the charm, I suppose, like teaching yourself how to use a table saw. Some cool things about this game are the graphics. They're pretty amazing, actually, especially when you consider that this is a game for the previous generation of consoles and PC, but they don't count because they got them graphics cards, whatsits. But this is especially true, and I especially noticed it during the opening cutscene. I mean, you just have to take one look at that water and you will be totally amazed. I absolutely loved the environments that I have explored thus far, with the exception of one area called the Gutter. It is incredibly dark, as in pitch black dark. Now, I do not want to spoil the enjoyment of all of you guys going out there and discovering and exploring this area for yourself, but I'm just going to go ahead and say that I still have not progressed past this point yet because I basically don't have the tools that I need to do so. However, the world of Drangleic is enormous and it does feel alive. Each area is distinctive, partly because of the unique enemies that you encounter in each area, but mostly because there is just about every single type of environment you can imagine in this game. Sometimes those locations appear disconnected from one another due to the stark contrasts you will find you have navigated to, but in part I believe this is because it's just such a huge game and you can easily get lost and disoriented because there's no map, no NPC telling you where to go, and there's no straight line of progression. It's not a bad thing, it's just unfamiliar to feel so completely lost in a game and wonder, how in the heck did I get here again? So if you aren't making progress because you lack a key item or you have insufficient levels or equipment, you can go somewhere else and attempt to make progress there, which is really kind of a neat thing about this game. So Something that I found particularly interesting actually was outside of boss battles, cutscenes, and a few choice locations, there is absolutely no music to speak of in this game. Now, I really appreciate the restraint in choosing to forego music for the majority of the game because I honestly feel like it would actually be a distraction from an experience that requires a lot of focus and attention to detail. This includes listening for enemies. Dark Souls 2 does a great job of pulling your attention into the game fully, and part of that is the excellent sound design, movement, the clashing of weapons against armor, flesh and bone, environmental ambiance. It really all adds to a wholly engrossing experience. So let's talk about gameplay. Why is a game so punishing, also so utterly addictive? Because ultimately it is a fair game. Completing a tough boss fight, traversing a treacherous environment, or figuring out where to go is not impossible. It requires thoughtful planning and careful execution. There's also a lot of trial and error involved, but when you finally figure it out and make your way past its challenges, which really are your challenges, you will feel rewarded in a way that very few games can offer. Again, Dark Souls 2 is one of the most memorable gaming experiences I've ever had, and that's what this franchise does best. Your palms will sweat, your adrenaline will pump, and when you fell your foe with only a wisp of health, you will leap out of your seat and let out a roar, "Praise the sun!"